nations. However, red light cameras did not spread to the United States until the 1980s when a red light runner actually hit an 18-month-old child in a stroller in New York City, which caused a lot of panic, and it actually allowed for the beginning of the implementation of red light cameras in the United States. The first digital red light camera system did not actually start until the 21st century, which was only like 14 years ago. But once it did, it picked up great speed, not only in the US, but all over the globe, in places including the UK, Canada, Singapore, China, New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. Within the United States specifically, some states were targeted more heavily than others. And in those states are Alabama, Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, South Carolina, and Texas. However, it's ironic because ever since the original implementation in these states, these are actually some of the states that have overturned the Red Light Implementation Act since then, but we'll talk about that later. So red light cameras are typically installed in protected metal boxes that are attached to poles at various intersections. What they do is they use a two-loop system that's embedded into the pavement to actually measure the speed of the vehicle, and that determines if the vehicle would actually be able to stop in time or not before the light turns red. And red light cameras take two pictures. The first picture is taken before the car actually enters the intersection with the red light actually present in the photograph, and the second picture is taken after the car is in the intersection. So then this information is actually transmitted to law enforcement officials that review the pictures and the evidence and actually deem if a violation occurred. And after the review, if they find that a violation did occur, the offender is cited via mail. They will receive a ticket and actual picture proof that is received from the red light cameras. And usually the fine can range anywhere between $100 to $500, depending on the severity of the violation and the intersection that it occurred at. So a couple statistics that we looked at was that according to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, 22% of all traffic accidents that occur in the United States are due to drivers that run red lights. Every year, it costs over $7 million in property damage, medical bills, insurance hikes, and lost productivity of those who are in the accident. And the death toll is over 800 innocent lives per year due to these accidents. So the main goals of the Red Light Implementation Act was actually to monitor intersections 24/7 without having to have a law enforcement official present at those intersections at all times. This would allow them to collect evidence of red light violators and prosecute them severely without much disturbances. And this in turn would hopefully decrease the amount of intersection accidents and the death toll. But the main goal of the Red Light Implementation Act was to actually change driver behavior. A risky driver is one that drives through the intersection while the light is turning red, and not only is that very dangerous, but it's also illegal. And the goal of this program was to use heavy fines and consequences in order to deter risky driving and promote safer driving behavior, especially at red light intersections.
So after they implemented these all over the United States, we wanted to find out if they actually work. And like we mentioned, a lot of places all over the states and worldwide have been using it, and the results have been kind of mixed. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But overall, it seems like they decreased the number of right angle crashes, but they increased the number of rear end collisions. So we'll look at the good and the bad of red light cameras to see if it's worth it. So in terms of the good stuff that red light cameras seem to bring to the table, they do appear to prevent drivers from running red lights, which is good. And because of that, some studies report a reduction in fatal accidents by about 24%. And some cities also believe that they promote safer driving citywide. So even at intersections that don't have the cameras to enforce violations, they are still driving safer and having less incidents. Most cities do not report this, but some do report a decrease in overall accidents, like Austin in California. So the fines, for violating red light cameras are really expensive, as we kind of touched on. But in San Diego, before we got rid of all of them, the tickets were $490, and they're issued to about 20,000 motorists per year. And a lot of the time, these violations weren't for just straight out running through a red light, but for making like a right on red, not stopping for the, I think it's 3 seconds. And these aren't the behaviors that they were really trying to target, because they aren't really endangering as many lives as someone just going straight through, that causes the right angle crashes. And the red light cameras are also really expensive to operate. So the city pays to get them implemented, but then they also have to keep paying the companies that run them, and it gets very expensive. So at its peak, there were about 700 cities in the US using red light cameras, but it's dropped to about 500. In Southern California alone, a lot of cities have taken them away, including San Diego, Marietta, Los Angeles, San Antonio, Pasadena, Grand Terrace, Bell Gardens, Corona, and Glendale. And a large reason why they've been removing them is because of the lack of profit. Like I said, they're really expensive to operate, and as we talked about earlier, they do take a picture when you run the red light, but they can't issue you a citation unless they know that it's you in the picture. So if it's like blurry or something and they can't like identify for sure who the person is, a lot of these citations just get dropped. So they're not bringing in all the money that they thought that they would for all of the violations. So someone put it pretty well in one of the articles I was reading. They said, expecting drivers to continue their bad habits, city fathers hoped the cameras would bring an automated citation issuing money spinner, generating millions of dollars a year. Unfortunately, local drivers responded by simply driving legally, making the cameras an ineffective deterrent, but ineffective investment. So it seems like the red light cameras are changing driver behavior, but it's not necessarily in the ways that we were hoping. Like I said, there's been a huge increase in rear end crashes because people are so afraid of getting these hefty fines as they slam on their brakes, causing accidents, or as we'll talk about soon, they're just gonna avoid the red light cameras altogether.
So I'm gonna talk about if red light cameras actually change behavior. Like Nicole mentioned, it does change behavior, but it doesn't always change it in the right way, or the way that they intend for. There has been conflicting results from articles claiming different changes in behavior from red light cameras. Some articles claim that it does decrease right angle crashes, but it increases rear ends. Some says it deters drivers from becoming repeat offenders of red light making red light violations. Others say it just teaches drivers to avoid intersections where there are red light cameras. One flaw in the research is that most of the data saying that it's changing behavior is coming from percentages where they have lower statistics of accident rates. However, the statistics can be from the changing trends of the traffic trends. So if there's a different traffic trend in the area of the intersection, like less cars going through, the accident rate can decrease on its own from there. They're not taking into consideration all the other measures that could be causing the accident rates to decrease. Some countermeasures have been implemented because there is no concrete decision on if red light cameras actually were to increase driver safety. So some of the measures they have taken is to increase traffic sign visibility, make sure that all the signs are in optimal places for all the motorists to view. They have changed signs from being placed on the side of the intersections in some cities like New York and North Carolina, and place them overhead, and they have the signal heads above the driver so all drivers can view the signal heads. They have redundancy, which is putting 2 red light signal heads next to each other so that motorists can see that there's red light and it's the need to slow down. They have created, they have put backplates behind the lights to decrease the glare, and also implemented visors on top so that motorists can see the colors clearly. Some cities have also implemented warning signs, so a traffic ahead sign. They have implemented rumble strips to slow people's speed. Some have actually decreased speed limits before intersections. Another method is to decrease the need to stop. So instead of having traffic signals. They have roundabouts, yields, flashing lights, to have a four-way stop to prevent some of these violations. One of the issues I had when I was researching is finding data where they have used different measures to try to reinforce these behaviors. The only thing I could find is that they utilize punishments as a method to reinforce not running red lights. The only issue with that is that it gives the driver no incentive to change their behavior. So we suggest that they use reinforcers as another method to change driving behavior. Some of the reinforcers could be to reward good driving instead of just punishing bad behavior, give the drivers a reason to drive safely. We have also used an example from Campfire in our film. She was saying that to get a desired behavior, you should use continuous reinforcement. And once the desired behavior is altered, you can change the criteria for the reinforcement. So, say someone runs a red light violation, we give them a punishment of a citation or take away some give them driving restrictions continuously so that they know it's going to happen, or they reward them. So if someone doesn't run a red light continuously, you reward them. And then once the behavior changes, you can change the intervals.
So what's the verdict then? You seem, as collectively, do I read the sentence correctly, that you're kind of down on red light cameras?
Yeah.
And what's the other part of the question is, you mentioned how Southern California seems to be certainly in that same frame of mind, rebelling against them after adopting them. What about Northern California?
I didn't find a study that looked specifically at Southern California. It seemed like nationwide a lot of cities have taken them down, but I just happened to find a great article to talk more about Southern California. But yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement that the red light cameras, the punishment is just too severe, so it causes drivers to freak out and act like impulsively to brake and stuff, and there are better methods to change behavior for the better instead of actually one way.
In a lot of the cities, the cities that have been using countermeasures are in the East Coast.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, was there a reason why, did they say anything about like why Marietta was such higher than LA and Walmart?
They didn't, since it talked about so many cities, they didn't really go into too many specifics about why that was their number. I think it was largely due to rear end collisions, but they did break it down by city. It wasn't that one of those studies.
You mentioned that there's no incentive for drivers to alter behavior in light of punishment. Wouldn't the incentive be to not get a ticket? Wouldn't the incentive of changing behavior to be like I'm basically trying to say it's negative reinforcement. So you're reinforcing safe driving behaviors by avoiding a ticket by driving safe.
The only thing with that is that they don't issue citations every time you run a red light. It's very variable. So like one day you can run a red light and get a ticket. The next day you can run a red light and nothing happens. So it's like they're taking a chance if they're going to get a ticket or not.
And it's also that some cameras are actually just kind of placeholders that they'll flash and take pictures, but those pictures are actually not transmitted to law enforcement officials. So they're kind of just there to give the illusion of that one should be careful at the intersection. But what it is, like, because there isn't that continuous punishment, it doesn't have that great of an effect on driver behavior. Because you still have a balance of, oh, if I got away with it once, maybe I can get away with it next time.
And then we also think that if you pair it with reinforcement for good driving behavior, it's more likely to set in you that you're just going to be a good driver, and be much more intrinsically motivating than just extrinsically by avoiding tickets, because there's a lot more teaching you to drive good.
Like, AAA does reward programs, like if you're a good driver or if you get good grades or something. So an alternative could be the city actually collaborating with different insurance companies to create some sort of reward reinforcement system
system that will